Hello and welcome to Talking Through. In this podcast, we invite many professionals from different industries so that they can help you and us in understanding the industries, their professional lives, what are the rewarding journeys that they've had throughout their professional journeys, and also talk a little bit about themselves on a personal level. Today, we are going to explore a very interesting industry. It's called the expert networks, and we have a very experienced expert network professional, Stuti Poddar, with us. Welcome, Stuti.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for welcoming and having me over, Dipankar.
Great, thank you very much. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to our audience and also tell us a little bit about your professional and personal life?
Yes, sure. So, as Dipankar has already mentioned, my name is Stuti and I hail from this place called Balasore, which is a small town in Odisha. I come from a social sciences background. I've done my triple majors in economics, political science, and sociology from Christ University, Bangalore. Post which I moved to Delhi with the aim of cracking UPSC, and I did my masters in public administration from Jamia. After that, I wanted to pursue my PhD, but then with everyone's recommendation, I planned on doing some kind of work. I wanted to be financially independent, and I randomly started giving interviews in every industry just as any other fresher would do. I started exploring edtech, expert network, teaching, and whatnot. So, out of the plethora of opportunities that I had appeared for, Expert Network was one of them. And I started my journey by joining a domestic expert network called Insight Alpha in the year 2018. And cut to chase to this year, I'm completing 6 years in this industry, and currently I'm working as a senior project lead at a tech first and new age expert network called Arbulus, which is headquartered in London with offices in India, Barcelona, and New York. So yeah, that's how my professional journey has been, and it has been great. I would love to tell you about the industry overall. The A lot of people, including me, when I started my journey, I had no idea that there is something called the expert network industry which exists. So, just to let our audience know how this industry operates or what the working model is like, usually expert networks have a panel of industry veterans or industry leaders who have n number of experience in a particular domain, in a particular sector, to an extent that they can help someone take better informed decisions about any kind of investments or any kind of mergers that they are looking to have. So typically expert networks have a lot of clients ranging from management consultings, private equities, public equities, corporates, brokers, etc., who are usually ultimately working for an end client. Now, agencies like ours, we help them on their research by connecting them to senior industry professionals in the domain that they are researching on.
Right.
So, in a gist, our success lies on the successful consultation that happens between both the parties, which is our client and the industry expert that we have on board with us. So, this has evolved over the year, the kind of consultations which happen, the kind of engagement or the kind of consulting relationship between the clients and the experts we are talking about. It has evolved over the year, and currently it has become very interesting with the involvement of AI and data into this entire genre.
Right.
So I hope that answers your first
Yeah,
question.
I mean that's
Dipankar.
that's a really interesting take on this industry, and professionally, I have been also part of this industry when I started my career.
Oh, that's great.
I used to work for a firm called Gerson Lehman Group.
Ah,
So yeah, I mean I know a little bit about it, but I found it very interesting to kind of share it with the audiences, with someone who is actually working in this industry right now, because it
right.
might have changed quite a bit.
Yes.
I'm very interested to know about your educational background and obviously there is no educational degree to go into the expert network
Yes,
industry, right?
of course.
So
Yeah.
how does your education support that, or there is a long learning curve that you have to go through just to, manage in this industry?
Okay, so to be in the expert network industry, as you rightly said, we do not specifically need a specific degree or educational background to be a part of this industry. Personally, I love to be in this industry because I love to interact with people. I love to hustle. This industry demands people to be performing. It's a very high performing kind of role in whatever company you get into.
Right.
So your career trajectory is completely based on the kind of performance and the kind of enthusiasm you're showing with respect to the role. I have been a very extrovert and outspoken person throughout my academic journey, right from school, getting into debates, elocutions, presenting papers, etc. So I loved it when I got into the industry because I got to interact with industry leaders, someone who's heading a particular vertical in a particular company and is willing to help me assist my client and is willing to share the insights with my client, is coordinating with me to get a successful consultation done. I was thoroughly enjoying that journey. When it comes to my academic degree, as I mentioned earlier, since I come from a very social science kind of background, I have written a lot of research papers, thesis, etc. in my masters, etc., which kind of helped me get some perspective whenever I'm reading about something or whenever something new is introduced to me. And the export network industry is all about learning about different sectors, what is happening there, what kind of mergers are happening, why is it happening, or whenever we get a project, say from any of our clients, the first thing that comes to my mind is why.
Right.
And I think the research background kind of helps me to wear a lens to look at it in a different way and then find a solution to help my client potentially.
Right. So what I gather is that it's not enough to know about a single industry. You should be like a multi-sector research kind of a person. Is that true?
That's kind of true because given the players that we have in the export network industry, a lot of them do not have any sector specific team.
Alright.
A lot of them do have.
Okay.
So say if you are coming from a healthcare background and the company XYZ is hiring you for the healthcare vertical, you might as well put that experience into use. But I am coming from a background where I haven't worked in a sector specific team.
Okay.
So I have always worked in client specific verticals. I have always been into consulting. So I have been serving a lot of projects related to a lot of sectors, a lot of industries, etc. So having that research mindset or having that approach to know why this is happening or why do they want to know this or who would be the best person to answer this has always been the kick for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long has it been in this industry for you? Like in terms of years?
It's 6 years.
It's 6
now.
years. All right.
Yeah.
And obviously you would have built a lot of skills throughout these 6 years, right?
Yeah.
How did you build them and what are they? Right? Would you
Okay. A lot of them actually. I was a complete fresher with a master's in public administration, which had honestly nothing to do with the role I was stepping into. It was just that I was very vocal about my thoughts. I never used to hesitate interacting with people. I think one of the reasons why I'm here today.
Yeah, sure.
So, I got to, as I mentioned earlier, the first thing was communication skills. I became very confident in talking to senior leaders in the industry because initially when you step into the industry, your role is mostly expert facing. And when I say expert facing, you are supposed to identify what kind of experts are needed for a particular project and then get them on board and get the consultation done. So the term expert itself implies that that person has expertise in something, right? He has n number of experience, he's a senior professional. talking to these people is very different to talking to your friends or your colleagues or your professors, etc. Right? So that gave me a different perspective on how to communicate with senior leadership.
Right.
The second thing that this industry taught me was multitasking, because one very important aspect of being in an export network industry is turnaround time.
Okay.
Because it is an industry, because there are a lot of players, and when there are a lot of players, there's a lot of competition. You are not just fighting to get a consultation done with the client, you are also fighting against the n number of agencies who are working on that particular project. So multitasking, keeping the turnaround time in mind, managing the experts' expectations, managing the client's expectations, keeping your management happy, etc. All these things, I think, made me a good multitasker.
Okay.
And the third thing that I would like to point out is, over the years, my role has evolved from this expert facing role to a very client centric and customer success kind of role, wherein my job currently is to ramp up a client or to build relation with a client and to ensure that we keep getting business from that particular client. So it has evolved a lot from reaching out to these experts for projects to a role where I am the key point of contact for one of my clients, and I need to ensure that they are well served, and I need to be very aware about their style of working, and ultimately it is all aiming towards customer delight.
Okay.
So that is one skill that I feel I have gained in these years.
So, one very interesting thing that you mentioned was, apart from the skills, of course, they are very interesting and very helpful in any industry. But you mentioned that there are a lot of players in this industry, and I was of the impression that there are not many players in this industry, because back when I used to work for this industry, I didn't know too many players. There were few of them. One of them was very large, and everybody was just trading trading that firm. But how are the smaller firms making business? Like, are they able to sustain through, or they set up shop and they just whiz out after a point?
No. I mean, of course, the smaller players, they have a very regional monopoly, if I would like to put it that way. And they have their set clientele, which they have built amazing relationship with, and they continue to work with them. A lot of factors come into play. There are a lot of new age and tech first export networks which have evolved with time, and which currently have much higher market share than the smaller ones in the space. But it's not like the smaller ones are not thriving.
Okay.
They have a very regional monopoly that way, and there are a lot of factors into play, be it the price points, be it the use of technology, be it relationship, etc. So
I mean, it's now a proper industry, so to speak, with multiple players.
of course
That's great. You were talking about when you got into this industry, you did not know anything about it, right? So which brings me to a point that how do you prepare for an interview then, right?
Okay.
So when you were going through the interview process, what did you prepare for? What did they ask you? And like, how should people prepare for something like this? Because it's a very niche industry.
Yes.
Not very well known. So if you could shed some light on that.
Okay. 6 years down the lane, when I had started my journey, I had prepared just like any of the college pass outs would prepare for an interview. Reading about the company, reading about the industry, what kind of clients are they serving, the basic information which is available on their website. It's been 5 years since I am on the other side, and I am also taking interviews for various organizations that I have worked with. And one of the key things that really intrigues us in this interview process is the candidate's knowledge about the industry. If the candidate has taken a step ahead and is inquisitive to know more about the industry, that really impresses us. Apart from the fact that you really need to have good communication and convincing skills to be a part of the first layer or the first layer of hierarchy in this industry. So if I were you, the first thing I would do is, whatever company you are interviewing for, read up about the company, read up about the industry, be confident in whatever you are saying. The rounds are very basic. You are gauged on your personality, you are gauged on your communication skills. You need to have the drive to go and sell something. Because in this industry, you are selling your expert to your client,
Right.
and the client is taking decision based on what your experts are saying. The impact of this, the entire value chain, when the consultation is done on a particular industry, it is usually the top headline of a business newspaper.
Right.
That's when you get to know how impactful your role is.
Right.
So being aware of business news, what is happening in different industries, what is happening in different sectors, would make you sound smart and intelligent in an interview that you're appearing for the expert network industry.
Right. So, which is very interesting and also intriguing in a sense that there is a high level of confidentiality which
course.
has to be maintained and which requires a lot of professional setup,
Exactly.
technology, and all
Right.
of that, right? So,
Right.
what I would want to understand is that because there are so many players in this industry, bigger, smaller, how are they actually competing against each other, and how are they creating opportunity for themselves? Because obviously there is a price point war going on, right?
Yes,
For the
yes.
same project, many people might be pitching
Yes,
in.
yes.
So can you tell us a little bit like how is this industry evolving really from point A to point B? What you have noticed?
Okay. So the question you asked is how different players are basically
Yeah.
competing against each other.
Yeah.
So different players have different clientele.
Okay.
Now these clientele could overlap, or they may not overlap. There are exclusivity contracts with a lot of players.
Okay.
And with each passing day, the expert network industry is able to convince some other industry to use them. Right. So that is how the industry is evolving. There are a lot of cross pollination of information which is going on.
Right.
Each industry is picking up the best practices which is used by the other industry to better themselves. So although the war is ongoing and it is real, but I think the war is more about market share.
Okay.
On each project, on each client. So that's how they are surviving.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges you face on a professional side and on a personal side, because in our day and age, work-life balance and too much stress at work is a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not something that you can brush under the carpet and say it does not exist.
Right.
So how do you handle that?
Okay, so as I had mentioned earlier, being in the expert network industry requires you to hustle, because it's a very high performing and demanding job. But with the evolution of technology, with the evolution of digitalization of the platforms we are having currently, it has reduced a lot. And for the betterment of the employees in the expert network industry. It is a very customer centric kind of role that each person in the hierarchy is in. The ultimate goal is to make our clients' life easier. And of course, there are times when your client requires you to be available at odd hours. And it's a rush that if you are not available, you are losing the business to someone else, because they have option of going to n number of agencies. But what companies are doing currently is they are coming up with a lot of different models to give 24/7 support to these clients. Just to cite an example, my current employer, Arbolus, we follow a global delivery model where we are in a setup that right after India clocks off, we have Barcelona opening up, and as soon as Barcelona is clocking off, we have New York coming in and supporting the same client.
Alright.
And when New York signs off, we have India waking up again. So this is how we ensure a 24/7 support to our clientele, which is helping the employees in their work-life balance as well.
Right. Okay. So another thing is, interestingly, is there any specific challenge for women in this industry, given it's very challenging, and do you find that it is rewarding enough for women to follow this career?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. And just to give you some intel, I have so far worked with 2 organizations in this industry, and fortunately, unfortunately, or coincidentally, majority of the workforce is women.
Okay,
in
that's interesting.
in these kind of this is maybe I'm generalizing it, maybe that's not the case. So I don't think this industry is challenging at all for women, because there are equal opportunities for everyone. And honestly speaking, I have seen more women workforce in both of my previous organizations as compared to men.
Okay.
Because it involves multitasking, it involves you to be outspoken, and it involves very high stakeholder management. And I think women today are adept at doing it all. So it is not necessarily challenging for women at all.
Okay, I mean, there are enough opportunities for women, and there is a workforce which
Absolutely.
is women centric. So that's great to know. So since you've been in this industry for about 6 years, tell us a little bit about what kind of growth opportunities have you noticed here? Like, how have your career progressed, or how have you seen other people who have progressed through their careers? Can you shed a light on that?
Yes, of course. So, see, the basic role across each level in the hierarchy of any expert network is to get experts and get consultations done. Now, there is layering across the different levels in the hierarchy with respect to the same primary or basic purpose that we have. Initially, when I had started my journey, I was completely in the expert facing role, where I was assigned projects. I used to identify experts, reach out to them, get their consultation done. If you ask me today, I do that. It's still a part of my job. It's just that it's not my only job.
Okay.
Right? So that's how the basic role remains the same across all levels. Now, my role evolved from that to a point where my job was to work in tandem with my team in delivering those projects or serving the clients, right? Now, from there, it evolved to a point that I am the one who is taking care of the entire business which is coming in from a client. And if not coming in, I am accountable for that as well.
Okay.
So my job is to ensure that there is steady flow of projects, that the clients are happy, we have good market share in the project, in the projects that we are getting, etc. I have also come to a role where I have kind of built my team with the support of my leadership in my current organization, trained them well to basically serve the client.
Okay. All right.
And I could do all of that because of the grunt work which I had done previously. It was because of the challenges which I had faced previously. I'm able to give them a quicker and a faster solution to it. Right. So yeah, I think that's how my role has evolved from a very expert facing and semi recruitment kind of role to a very customer delight and customer success kind of role.
Okay. So since your role has evolved from, say, an individual contributor, and correct me if I'm not reading this right, so your role has evolved from an individual contributor to a relationship manager. Is that a
kind of, you
kind
could
of, right?
say that, yeah.
So obviously that would require some leadership skills, some initiative, project management skills also, right? So how did you develop that, or is it like you go through the motion and you develop automatically, or you have to kind of consciously do that I have to do this change?
I think you have to be a very good observer if you are in any industry in order to get to the next level.
Okay.
I have been fortunate enough to have worked with people who I could look up to. So even when I was an individual contributor, I used to look at the style of management that my manager used to follow or their manager used to follow, and I could inculcate the pros and cons from each one of them that I have worked with, and that's how I could come up with my own style. And till today I am open to any kind of feedback that I get from my team with the kind of leadership style that I follow. Right, so one has to be very open to any kind of constructive or otherwise feedback that you get from the team, and this is a learning process. And this is a very on job kind of training that you get, if I may put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to learn from each challenge that comes across your way, each type of people you are dealing with, the kind of client you are dealing with, etc.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, obviously, it's like an on-the-job, experience-driven kind of a career where you kind of just hustle up and learn, right?
Yeah.
Good. So, again, how do you approach a challenging situation? And obviously, you can, not give me any specific example, but say a client isn't happy with the output, or the expert isn't happy with the call that he did or the meeting that he did. How do you guys manage that?
So if a client isn't happy, that's a very serious situation, first of all. And the first thing that I do in such a situation without trying to panic is to make amends. Say for instance, the client had a deliverable and he was relying on a expert call which was sourced by me or my team, and the call did not go well, or the call did not go as planned. So the deliverable is getting affected.
Right.
So my course of action at that point of time would not be to panic, but rather to find someone else for the client to consult with and then go ahead with the deliverable.
Right.
So instead of putting in energies into mulling over the loss, I would rather find someone else and take a quick decision of getting suggesting them someone else and getting the call done, and ultimately helping them in their deliverable. And another thing that is very important in such scenario is transparency. So we need to be very, very transparent with the clients. Although we are trying to make their lives easier, happier, we need to tell them the reality of the situation. Usually what we tend to do in a customer success or customer relationship kind of role is that we make high promises blindly, but sometimes there are challenges which really need to be taken care of. So this is an approach which I have evolved over time, because initially it was all no, I cannot say client this, no, they need to be served first, etc. But over time I have realized that they know, they are humans and they understand that this could be a challenge, and honestly they actually shake hands on that and they help us find a solution. In totality, it's either me going to them with a solution or we cumulatively coming to a solution for that particular situation. So being transparent is also very, very important in such kind of situations. Now coming to your second part of question, when an expert is not happy, now that would completely depend on how you manage his expectations in the first place. Right? They need to be very well aware of what the conditions are before going on the call. What could happen? What if the call goes well? They whatever they are entitled to is given to them, or if it doesn't go well, why it didn't go well, etc. I think even they understand well, but communication is the key here, I would say.
All right. So what I've gathered from you so far is, so a project is generated by the client, or multiple projects are generated by multiple clients, and then you would try to find an expert who could solve that problem, right? In some cases, you might already have that expert in your database, and in some cases, you would have to look for that expert.
Yeah.
And then if you have to look for that expert and you have to kind of onboard that expert onto your platform, and then that consultation would happen.
Right.
So, and in this process, what's your role?
In this process, what's my role? So this is the basic model. This is a basic value chain that honestly, currently my role is to ensure that the clients are sending me project. I have an account with me which I'm serving in tandem with my team.
Okay.
My job is to ensure consistent business from that particular account. It's a fairly new account and we are trying to ramp it up in this part of the world.
Right.
And my job is to constantly build relation with the client, constantly mesmerize them with the kind of delivery my team is supposed to be doing. And if in this basic problem my team is stuck anywhere, for instance they are not able to get experts, they are not able to identify what kind of expert would be well suited for that, it's there where I intervene. I probably help them with research, or I probably go back to the client, or I in fact, in my current role, my associates are given the full exposure of not just reaching out to the experts, but reaching out to the clients as well.
Okay.
But the way they should be doing it, or the way the situation would be handled, is what I monitor and what I guide them to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, also a very interesting thing is sometimes is the client always very clear of what they want, or they are relying on you to tell them this is the kind of our requirement? What do you think is a good fit as an expert?
Yeah, it's actually a mix of both.
Okay.
Sometimes they are very crystal clear in what they want, and they exactly want that.
Right.
You wouldn't or you couldn't upsell or cross sell any random expert to them.
Okay.
But sometimes it is very important to educate the client as well, because they do not know what exists on the ground.
Right.
They are working on something that their partners or that their client wants to work on, right? But what exactly is there on the ground or is available in the industry is what they are not aware of. It is there where we need to educate them that hey, we feel that this is not the kind of experts you should be looking at. Instead, we have this person who's very confident, and this is why you should talk to him. And this has worked. It has worked beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So another, I mean, it is one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people. What kind of rewards do you have in this industry or in this job or in this role that you are playing? How do you feel rewarded? What's your motivation to continue?
Okay. So this industry has both the kind of rewards that each individual looks up to. I am sure the audience would be aware about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how it evolves from basic needs to impact, etc., etc. So as I have mentioned at multiple points that this is a very performance oriented role. So each individual is monetarily rewarded for the kind of performance they do. It is very straightforward. Each individual has some target to achieve at any level, and if they achieve that target, I think each company, they have some different kind of incentive model which is followed in the industry, and they reward the individuals. Apart from that comes the other aspect, which is the non-monetary aspect, which is how fulfilled you feel with your role or the kind of impact that you do with your role. I am unable to cite any examples right now, but usually the kind of impact that we have on this industry or on the business altogether is the headline of a newspaper that we get to know later on. That hey, we were working on this project in this particular domain, and see, this is the ultimate news which is coming out of it. That's how big the impact is, and that's where you feel that was your contribution towards the impact.
Okay, so I mean, it's both monetarily and also it is rewarding through what impact you create on the society or an industry. And that's good to know, because in a lot of roles you don't feel that, right?
Yeah.
And if that's a reward in this industry, then obviously it should be termed as a rewarding.
It is a very rewarding industry, and also you get a lot of acknowledgement for the kind of work you do. It's nothing under the shackles or under the carpet. It's all out there.
Okay.
The kind of work you're doing is completely visible, and it is acknowledged very well. And it is seen, in the professional services domain, it's all about the kind of feedback you are getting or the kind of work you are getting. If you deliver well on one project, that's how you will get the next one. So if you're consistently getting work from a client, or if you're consistently getting project from a client, it's because you have delivered well in your earlier one. Right. So that's how you get the acknowledgement.
And I'm coming to my second favorite question, which is, with the introduction of, very advanced technologies like AI, ChatGPT, and others, how is it impacting your work and this industry? Is it adopting, or it has already adopted, or it is a laggard? It hasn't really thought about it. What's happening?
This is a very good question, and a lot of the new age expert networks, they have already adopted such technologies. They have already integrated it into their platforms. They run algorithm where our platform is directly suggesting experts that we should be presenting to our client for a particular project. Or with the use of AI and with the use of data, we have come to a point where this industry has evolved from one-on-one interviews or long running surveys to a turnaround time of 5 minutes, where we could share the insights about a particular target that we have been researching on. So it has evolved over the years, and with each passing day, I think different players in the industry, especially the new ones, they are adopting technology at each step to basically make their employees and the clients' lives easier.
Okay, so there is adoption in this industry.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think we've talked a lot about the industry, your experience, and I would like to know a little bit about what advice do you have for people who are interested in such roles or would like to join this industry? Do you have any advice for them? Overall, general advice?
Yes, of course. I mean, I still have a lot to learn, and I think I have a long way to go. But from whatever I have learned so far, if you feel that you can hustle, and if you feel that you are very outspoken, you can interact with people, you can work with people from different cultural background, diverse geographical locations, this is the industry for you. If you want to be rewarded both monetarily and non-monetarily, we want to see the impact that you are having on a particular industry, this is where you should look at. And for people who want to get into consulting, ultimately, I think this is a very good stepping stone.
Okay.
Where you get to know about the entire ecosystem. You are on the other side, which I agree, but you at least get a taste of how it works.
Right.
The entire
So you would know
ecosystem.
what kind of knowledge you need to acquire.
Exactly.
How does the business model on the other side work?
Exactly. What kind of projects your clients are working on,
Right,
and
right.
how they operate, what is their mindset, why would they do this, what is the kind of crunch timelines they work on.
Right.
So it gives you a taste of all of that. And I currently, there's a trend of doing MBA, getting into consulting. A lot of my friends are also doing it, and a lot of the candidates that I'm currently interviewing are also into this. And this is a very good stepping stone for people like these. And it could be the case, just like me, people change their mind, and they find it great to pursue this industry itself. So my advice to the audience would be to have that attitude, to go out and kind of sell themselves, kind of sell the experts, because ultimately your job would be to sell. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for enlightening me, at least, with so much good information about the industry, about a daily life of a professional in this industry or a certain company in an expert networking industry. So my last question is, how has it enriched your personal life? Right? there are some roles which enrich you professionally quite a bit,
Yeah.
but it takes a toll on your personal life.
Yeah.
But in your case, what I felt through the interview, that you're quite content and happy, and you're very positive of this is going to take me in the right direction in the long run,
Right.
right?
Right.
So how has it impacted your personal life, your mindset overall?
I think when you are working in a particular industry for a number of years, subconsciously you inculcate a few things in your personal life as well. So fortunately, I have not been in any such situation in my life where I had to juggle a lot or struggle a lot, etc. But I feel the thing that I learned in the expert network industry about how to manage situation, how to deal with stakeholders, how to manage people's expectations, how to deal with your team, etc. All of these things made me a better person in my personal life as well, because I could put those skills into use while dealing with different kind of people in my personal life.
Right.
I felt that I am much more patient, and I understand my target audience better before I react to anything, because each your reaction has a lot of implications,
Right,
ultimately,
right.
be it professional, be it personal.
Right.
So I think that's how my personal life, I could use all those things in my personal life, and I feel I'm a better person.
That's great. So thank you very much, Satish, for sharing so many insights with us, being so open, very candid. I'm very sure that the audience would be more interested to know about this industry also, and they might also explore it. I can tell you I explore different industries, and that's why this
Right.
podcast really exists. But yeah, thank you very much for being on the show,
Thank you
and
for having
I'm
me.
glad that you came here and gave us your time.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. So thank you, audience, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you have any questions for us, you can always put them in the comment section, and we will be surely getting back to you. And tell us what you would want to, see in our podcast, what kind of people, what kind of industries, and we'll try to get them on our show. Thank you very much, and I'm the